Hi everybody, welcome to Cities Skylines, a great little city builder game that was basically everything that SimCity was supposed to be, because it was a massive flop when it came out. Then this came out a little while afterwards and just showed the world what it should have been. I find it absolutely brilliant to play city builder games. I think they've got such great potential, and you can make up your own little stories as you go away, so they are great fun. The milestones are well placed. And I've played about 30 hours of it, so it is something I've had a lot of fun playing, and I'm looking forward to playing again. Haven't played it in months and months and months, and it's one of those games you can keep coming back to. So, start off, we've got 70k in the bank, and you have to do the standard thing, which is to have a little play around with your roads. So at the start off of the game, you only have the same single, double layer road, which doesn't really work. So we're going to get rid of it straight away. Get in here, just build ourselves a little roundabout about there, and then just some one-way roads to go to and from the highway to give us our city links. So this is something you'll see, everybody do. It's like a staple part of it. So bam and bam, just to make it look a little bit even. And we're going to get some two-way roads. Just come down here, 90-degree angle, and we just want that to be straight really, so we're just going to change that, bring it out here. I'm not going to go too close to the coast. I don't want anyone to experience any flooding, he says, and then straight across there just to make it look a little bit less gritty, and then bam. Actually no, don't want to go that close to the roundabout now that I think about it. 90 degrees. Don't know why I didn't just press yes the first time there. And then bam. And bam. Right, so this is going to be our first little sector of residential properties. But before we get into all of that, we need to get ourselves a water pumping station and a poop outflow pipe. I'm going to link those up with water pipes, which is nice and easy to do. One of the other things that's sort of majorly brilliant about this is the UI. I think is just fantastic. There's not too much of a fuck around every time you try and load up the game, or the hotkeys are pretty intelligent as well. I don't myself use them, as you can see. I'm just using the mouse, but they're pretty good as far as these types of things go. A lot of the time, they tend to be pretty poor. And rather than running power lines down, I'm literally just going to pop another one of these in here. Now residential, I'm just going to block it in here. Bam, 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 because I want to link up the power. We're going to go to fast speed, straight off the bat, and get ourselves going. I am going to change this to the sort of spot of sort of space, and I'm just going to run across there, just because it is going to be needed. And obviously we can see now, people are moving in, people are happy already because they've got the sea, well I say the sea, I keep saying the sea, the river, which is obviously high value property, as it is in the real world. And I'm just going to add a little strip more residential in here before we have a bit of a play around with industry. Now you'll find a lot of people, including myself, like to separate their industry from their residential because it's so pollutive in this game, and it's hard to get rid of once you've done it. So I'm going to have a little play around with that now. I'm just going to have a big old grid-like square, and it's going to have its own power circuit once I've got some cash. And I'm just going to pause it, just have a strip of that down there. And due to my mistakes, I may have to move some industry over here. Hopefully not, but it's entirely possible I may have to. Depends on whether I can run a power line across here. You know what? I probably can. That's probably fine. Yeah, so we're going to have our industrial sector over here. We're going to push it right up against the highway. Obviously, we'll buy this piece of land next, and that's kind of where we'll leave it. We don't want too much of it too close to any of our, residential property, because it's so loud and disgusting. No one wants to live near that shit. So, that's the way it'll be. And in terms of industry, we do have need for water, which is bad. So I'm just going to have to try and fill some of this in to try and make some money so I can actually buy some. Because we haven't hit any of our milestones yet, so we can't even take out a loan to fill that need. So we're just going to have to pray that people can hang on in the meantime. Now, that is the hope, the prayer. And for my first YouTube video, this is not the way to do it. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Slowly but surely, we will get there. So, it's telling me to look at info views. These are great. Obviously, a lot of them are locked at the moment anyway, due to the simple fact that I haven't unlocked them. But they will pop into life as we go along, and hopefully we're going to hit that first milestone soon. So we literally just need less than 100 more people, and people are moving in. Despite the terrible working conditions and pollution that's going to be spreading as a result of it, people are still moving in. But we are starting to maybe level around the minus 260 mark. I'm praying to God we can hit that milestone, because otherwise we're going to be in a real bad position going forward for the rest of the game, because well, there's no recovering from it. We'll have to start over, which I don't really want to do. I know you guys don't want to see that. I certainly don't want to have to re-record it again. So, praying, and there we go. So, I'm going to pause it straight away. We're going to get those water pipes in, because they are desperately well needed. Bam, bam, bam. And people are happy. Fab. Right, okay. So, a little bit of a mishap, but it's recoverable. We're going to be fine. I'm going to pop some more of this down here, and we're going to grow a little bit. Telling me about road names. This is a great little feature they've added in, I think, fairly recently. I haven't picked up the game and had a look at it for a while, but look, it's Raymond Street. It's, you know, it's, what does that say? Cooper Street as well. You know, Murray Street, and it just adds that extra layer of character to your city and, you know, your town. It's, you know, I think it's a neat little feature, and man, I wish it had come sooner. I think it's an awesome little feature. Now, obviously, with this particular section of land, it is fairly low lying, which means that we are a little bit prone to flooding, but it means we can wash away all of our pollution that way, and we'll never really have to worry about it too much. And we do have 2 connections. So eventually I'm going to be bridging this gap, and then I'll start building a whole nother little hamlet out here. Now, we have unlocked some new bits and bobs, so garbage being one of them. I'm going to drop that down there, and people are a little bit sick. So I'm going to use this little asset here. It's something I've used in most of my playthroughs. I've had it in my sort of setup for a long time now, and it's just a medical centre. It's the same price as a medical centre. I believe it's the same upkeep. No, it's massively cheaper, so this is why I got it, because I was struggling a little bit when I first got the game. Because it's privately owned, so it does its own thing, it makes its own money, and it makes people happy. It's a great little asset as well, because it stands above all of this low density residential as well, which I kind of like. And we do need some education buildings as well, but we don't really have the money for it right now, which is fine. We can make it work. We're not going to try. We're going to try and avoid loans if we can, just as is in real life, because once you've taken them out, you don't necessarily have the money to get it sorted. Plus the fact you don't even need it anyway. So as you can see, the info panels up in the top left here are updating. So we've now got the options for crime. I'm going to put this right on the edge of town, just so we get a little bit of coverage for this industrial sector. The crime in this game does tend to focus around those areas, as does fire. But I'm not going to try and bodge job it. Fire service is going to be here, and it's going to be one over here as well, because we will desperately need it. As you can see, all of these trees are all red markers on here as well, because they're not covered by the sort of fire stations and whatnot. But there's nothing to be done about for the time being. One of the other things that's kind of cool about this game is these little sort of features on the map, like this. Obviously we can't get a real good look at it at the moment, but how neat is that? It just adds that little bit of extra flavour, I think, that, you know, a lot of city builders lack in terms of the way that they're played and the way that they're built. So obviously this police station needs some power, so I'm just going to fill in this commercial because we do have demand for it, and as is the same with residential, I'm just going to prop this up with a little bit here. I'm not going to worry too much about adding any more roads. We don't really have the money for any expansion at the moment. We're trying to save up for extra services, but I am just going to have a couple of little bridging roads. Let's come down here, through here, just to give us that little bit of extra space that we probably do need. And again, just to here, just out to here, to here, just that cascade effect, just to give us a little bit of a extra breathing room to grow the city out, reach that next milestone, get that extra injection of cash, and unlock those extra buildings, because sooner or later we're going to hit them and we're going to need them, so you might as well get them out of the way as soon as possible. Now, do these people have water coverage? Mostly. I'll just fill in the little bit that doesn't with that janky ass bit of pipe there. And, you know, little fucking Billy's dad is working at the fucking Garments Limited. Jimmy's mum works at the Ice Cube factory. And Jimmy's in fucking the hospital every 2 weeks because he's just a fucking bubble boy. But it's whatever. So things are going well. We can now set policies for power usage, water usage, smoke detector distribution, bam. That's something I'm definitely going to do. Across the entire city. I'm not going to have it district by district, as much as most people tend to have the little areas of the city they don't really care too much about. These guys are now running out of power, apparently. Would have been nice to be told about them like 10 minutes ago. But we just hit Tiny Town, which is great. We are going to go with a coal-fired power plant. Is it coal? Yep, coal-fired power plant. Just in this dirty-ass part of the city. Because we may as well. We're going to have a lot of pollution in this area anyway, and this is all linked up by this power line, so we might as well make the most of it. We have unlocked a plot of land, which I'm going to get now. And then we're going to potentially look at planning out just a pinch more commercial in and around here. So just going to de-zone this and this and this and this little strip here. And I'm just going to rezone it as commercial because we have the demand for it. People want it. If the people want it, give it them. You know? Now going forward, we've already got some traffic flow here. It's not a vast amount. It's not something I'm particularly concerned about, but it's going to need to change soon, is what I'm getting at. That's why I've kind of bought up this piece of land over here. We've got this nice intersection over here. We're going to try and make the most of it. I might even have the industry sector have its own separate connection at some point. A lot of people try and do that, but it never really works. Unfortunately, the old highway roads and stuff, they're not particularly good. Now, when do we unlock highways? 2,200. I've just built some tiny little fucking square of road. God damn it. Right, so we can't really play around with this big bridge that I want going through the middle of the city right now, but I can do the hard part, if you like, which is to get our big old bridge, which I want to be pretty much exactly like that, but as you can see, it's going to cost us £1 million. So we're going to look at loans, which we can look in here. We're going to take the 60k one, go back in here, large roads, from here to here. Bam, it's done. Right, so I'm going to get rid of just a little tiny section of this, a little tiny section of this, because this road doesn't need to do anything at the moment. It's just going to be a crossover bridge. I mean, I like the way it looks. It's got that kind of Golden Gate vibe, but for the time being, we're not really concerned about that. So going back into here, these are keys. They're a major part of any shoreline in Cities Skylines, otherwise you will experience flooding if you build too close to them, which means we can sort of build right up and underneath the bridge. Now, you never used to be able to do that in this game. You used to just stop you and be like, no. So that's a nice little feature as well. Just a nice addition to the UI. I feel like Cities Skylines, you know, the devs and stuff like that, they've been really, really good at updating the game and keeping the game going and making it work and stuff like that. You know, I'm a big fan of the game anyway, but definitely a bigger fan of how much work has gone into the game as it's after its release. You know, it was a great game when it was released. It's a better game now. So adding into here, people are demanding medical clinics. They can fucking shove that up their ass. But we are going to have an extra fire station, as I mentioned earlier, over here. And we have this huge amount of demand for residential property, like already. It's crazy. So because we've already purchased this piece of land over here, two-way, just going to build out towards the highway, right up to here, back down, and then to there, and to to there. So you've now got a big old strange shape that we can fill up with these grid-like patterns, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go in with some curvy roads and just fill it out. So bam, 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 and bam. So we're going to work on filling this section out next time. I'm going to leave it here for now. It's this sort of strange Danga shape. I'm going to pause it. We've got some loss of cashola, which isn't great, but we're going to get right back to it shortly. So thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. If you did enjoy, please do hit like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. If you've got any tips about Cities Skylines anyway, drop them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to have a look into it. And if it does help, I will add it in. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.